Why does Generation Z seem softer and less prepared than previous generations? That's the question on everyone's lips these days. Now, if you're scratching your head wondering who or what Generation Z is, let me enlighten you. We're talking about those born between the mid to late 90s and the early 2010s. The chatter around the water cooler, or more aptly on social media, is that these young folks are a bit on the soft side. They're often painted as the marshmallow generation, all gooey and easy to squish. Some say they're less prepared to face the hardships of life. They're seen as more fragile, less resilient, and dare I say, a little pampered. But hey, let's not get carried away with the stereotypes. We've all been young and misunderstood once, haven't we? So let's dive in and see if there's any truth to these claims. One must remember that Generation Z has grown up in a completely different era. An era where technology has advanced at a pace never seen before. They've witnessed the birth and rise of social media, transforming the way we interact and communicate. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, they've probably used it. This constant connectivity has blurred the lines between the virtual and the real world, creating a unique set of challenges that previous generations never had to face. Then there's the economic landscape. Let's not forget, Generation Z has been born into a world still recovering from the Great Recession of 2008. Jobs aren't as plentiful or as secure as they used to be. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and the traditional career paths are not as viable as they once were. They're facing an uncertain job market, where the gig economy and automation are becoming the norm, not the exception. And let's not even get started on the social changes. They're dealing with issues like climate change, mental health, and social justice on a scale that was unimaginable just a few decades ago. In light of all these changes, it's no wonder that Generation Z might come across as soft. They're navigating a world that is drastically different from the one their parents or grandparents knew. Is it fair then to label them as soft, when the world they are navigating is so drastically different? In fact, Generation Z has shown remarkable resilience in dealing with these changes. They've grown up in a time of rapid technological advancements, and rather than being overwhelmed, they have taken the digital age by the horns. Picture this: a toddler swiping on an iPad before they can even talk. That's not being soft, that's being tech-savvy. Generation Z have also shown an incredible passion for social causes. Climate change, racial equality, LGBTQ+ rights, you name it. They're not just sitting on their couches, they're organizing protests, signing petitions, and making their voices heard. Now, some might call that soft, but isn't it just a tad bit impressive? And let's talk about their innovative approaches to work and education. Traditional 9-to-5? Not for them. They're creating their own businesses, freelancing, coding, inventing. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the workplace. And they're still in their teens or early 20s. In education, they're turning it on its head. They're not just memorizing facts for exams, they're pursuing their passions, learning on their own terms, questioning the status quo. Some might argue that's a softer approach, but isn't it more about being adaptable, innovative, and forward-thinking? So, maybe they are not soft, but simply different, adapting to the world they're growing up in. So, what have we learned about Generation Z? Well, we've unraveled quite a bit. It's not about them being soft, rather it's about them being different. They've grown up in a world that is rapidly changing, and they're doing their best to adapt. It's a world filled with technology, climate change, and a global economy that is more interconnected than ever before. We've looked at the data and it's clear. Generation Z is not less prepared. They're just prepared in a different way. They're navigating through a sea of information, making sense of complex issues, and creating their own paths. They're resilient, they're adaptable, and they're ready to take on the challenges of the future. So maybe the label of soft is a misunderstanding, a mislabeling of their unique abilities and strengths. Perhaps it's time we give Generation Z a bit more credit and recognize them for their resilience and adaptability, rather than labeling them as soft.